Welcome to the Irish Occupational Therapy podcast, hosted by me, Jen Trechek.
And me, Aideen Rutledge.
This podcast is dedicated to exploring the world of occupational therapy, sharing the latest research and techniques and providing insights into the many ways that occupational therapy can help people of all ages live more fulfilling and meaningful lives.
Whether you are a practicing occupational therapist, a student of occupational therapy, or simply curious about this fascinating field, this podcast is for you. We'll be interviewing experts in the field, sharing stories from the front lines of occupational therapy practice, and providing tips and advice for anyone looking to get the most out of their therapy.
So sit back, relax, and join us on this exciting journey into the world of occupational therapy in Ireland. So today on the Irish Occupational Therapy podcast, we are dealing with a topic that affects at least 50% of us and probably more. Certainly any woman who's listening, this is going to be something that you will come up against. We are absolutely delighted to be talking to the Meno OT, Emer Fenlon. Emer is an occupational therapist who has chosen to specialise in the area of menopause. So we're really excited to find out a little bit more about what that might look like. So you're very welcome, Emer, to the Irish OT podcast.
Thanks for having me, Jen and Aideen. I'm delighted to be here.
Welcome, Emer.
Thank you.
So you just decided to specialise in the area of menopause as an occupational therapist. Why did you decide to go down this route?
It started actually in college. I went back as a mature student to do occupational therapy. And in third year, one of the projects that we had to do was to create a series of workshops for a particular population group working on particular issues. And the population group I chose was menopause population, specifically women going through menopause, natural menopause, middle age. And then when I started to do that, I realized, I was like, oh God, I hadn't read anything about the menopause. I knew nothing. I knew just what anyone else knew, which was it was spoken in whispered tones and said, oh, they're going through the change. And I knew a bit about hot flushes and maybe kind of a bit of irritability. That's it. I knew absolutely nothing. But from going in, deep diving and doing that project, I kind of went, a whole world opened up to me. And I went, God almighty, why isn't this being looked at more? I couldn't understand. And then subsequently after that, the Joe Duffy show came out during lockdown as well. After I'd started this and all the spotlight was put on menopause, and it just sang to me as to why this should be looked at. I think for personal reasons, I'm of that age also. It's, I'm in perimenopause at the moment. I probably was at the time and didn't know it. But it just became glaringly obvious to me that this should be focused on, and OT is perfectly situated to support people in it, how we look at things. We're so holistic. So like it all stemmed from a project, and then in third year and then fourth year, I decided I'm focusing on menopause for my dissertation. So I stayed in that lane, stayed focusing on it. And just from there, I've just stayed in this focus of menopause. I've just kept it going and thought, yeah, I'll keep doing menopause.
And Emer, can you share with us a little bit about the role of OT? How can we as OTs support people with the challenges of menopause? What are the main challenges that we could help with?
Okay, well, like the list of symptoms of menopause is as long as your arm, and it's completely different for everyone. There's so many different symptoms. You're not going to experience them all. So it's a little melting pot of someone might have like migraines, heavy periods, breast pain, hot flashes. Someone else, it might be that fatigue and lack of motivation or depression, anxiety. So there's a whole myriad of symptoms there that can affect people in so many different ways. And so it's absolutely individual. Each person is completely different. But how an OT can help, like of the symptoms, like sleep is normally always affected in some shape or form. And we do sleep hygiene very well as OTs. We look at sleep hygiene. We have the training. There's even additional training, so many things that you can be doing. So looking at someone's sleep and how they can improve their sleep, that's definitely in the OT wheelhouse. We also look at fatigue management. If fatigue is affecting a person, which in many cases it does. So, applying things like the principles of the 5 Ps, things like that into someone's daily life. Like looking at values and where they're putting their energy in, and helping them to supporting someone in figuring out where they want to put most of their energy in. Again, completely in the OT wheelhouse. When it comes to more kind of mood and things, emotional side of things, like anxiety, depression, low mood, again, OT deals with this. We work in mental health areas. It's no different to if you were working with someone with mental health problems around mood and anxiety. It's the exact same thing. So we do so much to help people. And then cognitive strategies when it comes to brain fog and concentration and memory issues. Again, we deal with that all the time. When you look at any life stage, looking at helping someone from the older generation in the geriatric population, they're all things that we help with there, or people after head traumas, head injuries. Again, we'd be looking at similar issues there. So because we are holistic, we're looking at all those different aspects. So OT can very much help people and support them through menopause.
So hard to recognize menopause, particularly in the early stages. I know I started menopause very early in my early 40s, and so much of it you put down to, well, I'm just busy, it's just lifestyle. Of course, I'm putting on weight because I'm eating more, or of course, I'm feeling more tired because I've got so much going on. And it's sometimes really hard to recognize that there might be an underlying reason, which is the menopause. And then it's kind of hard then to know, well, do I get support with it? Or, what's normal, what's not normal? When do I need to get support? How do you speak to that?
Well, like you said, it can be lots of women, they don't realize that they're in menopause until they're well into, and like when I say menopause, I just want to clarify, I use menopause as an umbrella term. Menopause itself is just one single day, and perimenopause is the time leading up to it. But if you think of menopause as just a whole umbrella term and a whole transition period, it can take women a long time to figure out that they're in it. So like, I think it's definitely up to health professionals, all health professionals, that when they are speaking with someone, especially female, especially over the age of 35, and if they are talking about different issues that they're having, menopause should be there in the back of your head, and it should be a topic that's brought up. So I think it needs to be brought up more in conversation with women when you are talking about these different things. It can't be ruled out, especially in the case of around mental health. It definitely needs to be brought in there. Historically, women were misdiagnosed as being bipolar around this age when they were having actually a menopause. And, things like that's been a big issue. So like how you can bring it to the fore is to talk about it more, to have it in the public domain, to educate. People should be educated from teenagers onwards. Women's life stage, all the life cycle of what happens with us as females, with our wombs and all this and the menstrual cycles, that needs to be spoken about all the time. So that then if there's any changes, that you're very aware of what the cycles are usually, and then any changes that can highlight to you, and okay, there's an issue there, there's something going on. Maybe this could be menopause. So it's just to bring it into conversations more, have it in the general conversation so that the insight and the awareness is there, so that you catch the things early, that you figure things out early, and you can put things in place to better support yourself.
And Emer, you're doing a lot of work on social media around raising awareness. Is that how people reach out to you to work with you, to get support from you? Where do your referrals come from?
They come from a range of different areas. Yeah, it can be just someone direct from seeing me on social media, or it could be referred through. I'm in contact with different, like with menopause GPs, and with in Cork University Hospital with the complex menopause clinic. I'm in contact with them there as well. Referrals can come through from there. Like people can self-refer to me. They don't have to go through a medical profession. I'm in contact with different physios as well. You know, I'm constantly looking to create more connections with different people, different medical professionals who are managing issues around menopause, but not specific to, like, there's an osteopath and he gets a lot of people in, a lot of women in the menopause age bracket that he deals with. So like they could be referred on to me as well because they are experiencing difficulties around menopause symptoms, but he only deals specifically in the osteopath side of things. So they could come from there. So yeah, they can come from a number of different ways. Other OTs have requested details to refer people on to me as well around the country. So it could be from absolutely anywhere.
And would you be able to give us an example of, maybe a success story or a client that you've worked with where you've kind of really seen OT has really helped to improve their life?
Yeah. Just lately there, I just finished an 8-week workshop with women in ARC House Cancer Support in Cork. So that's a very specific demographic. That's people who are post-cancer treatment and experiencing menopause symptoms. So they're not able to take HRT. That's not an option for them because they're receiving like anti-hormone blocking medication. So we did a series of 8-week workshops, and many of them, by the end of it, they were so delighted to have had this resource. They found it improved their insights and their awareness into how they were, for example, using up their energy, spending their time. We use different methods for them to kind of highlight what their values and beliefs were, and then pick 3 important values, and then look how they use their cup of energy, let's say, into addressing our energy into those different values in the one day, and that develop their insight into going, oh, but that's not aligning with how I want to be spending my energy and my time. I have a limited amount of energy. You know, you don't have the same energy as you did in your 20s where you could just keep going like a Duracell bunny. It changes as you get older and after cancer treatment and menopause. And that really helped them. Definitely, they all spoke about the support, the peer support. So being in a group doing it as well, having that peer support, being able to know that when they come into the workshops that they can talk about the issues that they're having, that they're not feeling that they're banging on being a broken record, like they may feel like they're being around family and friends. It gave them that space to be able to share and not feel so isolated. That was a big thing, that people felt isolated. One of the women as well, we did lots of work around sleep hygiene. And one of the women, she put into place the different elements around sleep hygiene, and she saw an immediate improvement in her sleep. And that's one of the first things you have to deal with, like you would with around any other issues. You know, you address sleep first. If you address sleep, it has a knock-on effect on everything else. So sleep was a really, really big changing point for her.
Emer, you mentioned the workplace there. What can employers do to support employees who are experiencing challenges with menopause?
Well, one thing is to have a menopause workplace policy. That would be a good thing to have one in place at first, because many workplaces don't have one of yet, because the laws don't specify menopause and any supports around that. It's just general employee rights. So like places like Tusla, they created their menopause workplace policy, and in it they set out to make sure that to provide education for all employees around menopause, education around line managers on how to support employees around menopause, education on how to discuss menopause, how to be able to have those conversations and how to confidently have them with their employees, and then also ways to make adaptations to support employees, like simple things like if there's a uniform maybe that could be changed to something that's, most uniforms are kind of polyester fabric and man-made fibers, so having more natural fibers. You know, the heating temperature inside in the office, you know, maybe a simple thing is relocating a person to close by a window so that they have the option to be able to open the window, to allow for stress and anxiety that might be happening with employees as well, you know, to give those allowances and supports around that. So very simple things like that can be done. And like education is the first thing. Educating everyone about it, that it's not such a stigma. Take the stigma away and allow people the space that they can share what's happening for them.
I think that stigma is a big part of it, and I love the idea of a more universal approach. But you know, we're looking at, you know, cotton uniforms will help everybody, not just menopausal women. You know, but it can be difficult, I think, for women to ask to have their needs met, particularly when it's related to something like menopause, because there is still a taboo around it. How can women feel more confident to be able to talk about their own needs in relation to this?
Education first, educate yourself. You know, there's so much information out there. Now, there's lots of misinformation out there as well. So, you know, reliable sources, but there's some excellent books out there. There's loads of different professionals who have written fantastic books. So educate yourself. There's brilliant podcasts around menopause to listen to as well. There's so many there's different courses that you could do around menopause. So like, get the knowledge first, arm yourself with the knowledge. If it's for yourself and you're figuring out, when it comes to the symptoms, have a symptom checklist, keep a note of the symptoms, when they happen, how severe they are for you, so that then the next step, that you can then go to a medical professional. And you'll have the information around menopause, you'll have the information about your symptoms for you, that you can then go to a GP and say, this is what's happening for me. And have your information around, if HRT is an option for you and you want to go down that road, educate yourself around HRT as well. Because not all GPs are upskilling themselves or educating themselves around it. But that doesn't mean that your GP won't be willing to become better at it. You know, open that conversation and just say, this is what I want. I've done research. What can we do to support me around this? And then most importantly is peer support, connections, speaking to others, because it can be such an isolating time. You know, so many women, they don't realize, they mightn't realize that the symptoms, what's happening to them, that it's menopause. So what often happens, especially around cognitive issues, memory issues, many women think that they're going through dementia. And so they're scared to talk about it. They're scared to talk about what's happening for their memory. They don't want to talk to anyone because, you know, denial, you want to protect yourself. And the whole time it could just be menopause, simple thing as that. So, and that can be such a scary place, to be scared to talk about it, what's happening for you, for the fear of what it could be. So speak to others. If you can't speak to your immediate friends and family, if there's no one around you experiencing it, there's loads of online support. There's different menopause support groups on Facebook and all over the place. And yeah, put yourself out there and speak to them, because it's the isolation that is a really big problem.
There's Dr. Louise Newson's app, the Balance app, has a really nice checklist, because some of the things, like, I hadn't realized, things like joint issues or taking longer to recover from injuries that you'd normally kind of bounce back from, those kinds of things that are actually related to your hormones and to menopause, that I just hadn't even clocked as they might be related. So that I love that, you know, checking in with other people, but a checklist, if you can, just to help, is really helpful.
Yeah, and actually that website, Louise Newson, there's lots of great articles on there of so many different things. There's like downloadable things that you can bring with you into your own GP to arm yourself with that knowledge and support yourself, be your own advocate. So yeah, there's so many different options out there now, which is brilliant. It's great to see.
Emer is one of the first occupational therapists in Ireland that specialise in this area. What CPD models, approaches are specific to this area for you?
Yes, I think I don't know of another OT who is specialising in menopause. If you're out there, please contact me. I'm always looking to speak to someone. In general, I suppose like the PEOP model, that's a great basis to have. The MOHO model as well, when you're looking at areas around mental health. The lifestyle redesign, I like that one as well, because that ties in well with kind of general aging and education and things like that. So there isn't any specific. I tend to cross over and use a blend of things depending on the issues that I'm dealing with. I don't kind of stick to any one particular one.
Okay, and Emer, then from a CPD perspective, then for occupational therapists who might want to look into developing their skills in this area, it's probably not specifically OT
No.
training that they're going to find more information on. Are there any training in particular that you've benefited from, or?
There's different ones. Actually, the British Menopause Society is very good. It can be hard to get onto their training. It fills up very fast, but they have a number of different training. There's the Impart training course. That's an online virtual one. I've done that. That's very good. They also have a cognitive behavioral therapy course for menopause, which I'm signed up, and I'll be starting in February, and that's very good. That's specific around sleep and hot flushes when it comes to menopause. The HSC do a good one around sexual health, which again is really important, because that's a topic that comes up around menopause, around women and because of all the issues that can happen around the pelvic area, like the thinning of the vaginal tissue, the lack of lubrication, the lack of libido, all things that can greatly impact on someone's sex life. So they have a very good course that will help you, kind of arm you with more confidence in discussing those areas with people. Like there's so many different courses. I could keep going on. Pelvic health courses. There's an OT in America, Lindsay Vestal. She has pelvic health OT courses that she has available. You can do them online.
It sounds like for any OT who's working with adult females, they should have a really good grasp of understanding and spotting potential signs or of menopause. Is that fair?
I think so, yeah. And I think it should be a topic that should come up. Definitely any woman over 35 here coming across it should, if there's anything that you're going, possibly, I wonder. Now, 35 is early menopause. You were early menopause at 40. That was early menopause. But I don't think you should rule it out. I think it's good to get it in there, the conversation, for them to even be thinking of it, oh, what's coming down the tracks. But I think definitely with all women, yeah. And not just women, like menopause affects people of the LGBTQA plus. I don't know if I said all those letters right. It affects that community as well, in non-binary and trans community. And also men can be affected by menopause if they are also post-cancer treatment or receiving cancer treatment with hormone blocking medication. They receive menopause symptoms as well. So it's not solely a female issue. It's an everyone issue. But women are the majority of population that are going to, our demographic that are going to experience it. So yeah, I think it's good for everyone to be up on their knowledge in some shape or form about it.
You mentioned earlier, Emer, that there's lots of myths out there as well around menopause. Is there any bugbears or myths that you want to bust?
I suppose the myth that you're over the hill, that once you've hit menopause, that's it. You're kind of on the scrap heap. I think we need to bring back the kind of not the acceptance, but the appreciation of the female energy a lot more. And if you look at Western societies compared to Eastern societies, Eastern cultures, they much more revere the female, the elder female. They're considered to be a source of wisdom. they're considered to have all this experience and knowledge, and they're listened to. And this whole myth that's been more in the West that, like, you know, once you're hit 50, you're kind of invisible. I'd like to say no. Look at Helen Mirren. She's amazing. Look at, there's so many fantastic women out there doing things over the age of 50, over the age of 60. Train with Joan. Have you come across her on Instagram? She is a fantastic woman. She only began doing exercising in her 60s, and she is just killing it in all the different things she can do. And she's debunking the myths that you're past it at a certain age and you know, go do the knitting and sit down. So yeah, debunking the myth that women are past it and we're just ready to die off. That's those days are gone. Yeah, we're only stepping into our power at that age, I think.
And just to finish off, Emer, what message would you like to convey to women who are going through that menopause and maybe considering OT as being part of that journey?
Okay. Well, if you are going through menopause, you know, first of all, you don't need to just put up and shut up and just kind of get on with it like our older generations did. You know, you can make changes to support yourself. You don't have to accept that this is it. You can make simple changes to your diet, to your sleep, to your stress management, to your exercise that will support you really well through the menopause and support you in general for positive aging. And two, that there is light at the end of the tunnel. Yes, menopause can last for many, many years, but there is light at the end of it. You know, you do come through it. And for many women, it can be a great time of change, of kind of reinventing, of reflecting on how things are and kind of going, right, this is not how I want things to continue for my life. This is a great opportunity to kind of change things for the better and kind of your next act in life of how you want things to be. And if you're seeking help through OT, we are brilliant at looking at things in a holistic manner. We look at the whole person. We are able to support you. We're so versatile in so many ways. We can support you through kind of functional assessments. We can support you through issues around emotional and psychological issues, physical issues, general lifestyle changes that you need to make. You know, we are so versatile. We are in a prime position to be able to help women through this, as well as having the medical background and knowledge. Yeah, definitely reach out. We are able to help in so many different ways.
Emer, thank you very much on our behalf for leading the way within menopause for our profession. You're doing an amazing job and raising awareness. And also thank you for your time this afternoon and meeting with us to tell us more as well.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been lovely meeting you and getting to talk about menopause. Any excuse to talk about menopause, and I love it. So thanks very much.
Thank you.
That's all for today's episode on the Irish Occupational Therapy podcast. We hope you enjoyed our discussion and found it informative and engaging. If you've any questions or comments, we would love to hear from you. You can email us at irishotpodcast@gmail.com or connect on Instagram or Facebook.
And remember to subscribe to our podcast so that you never miss an episode. If you found this episode helpful, please leave us a review on your preferred podcast platform. Your feedback is important and helps us to improve the show, so please do leave it. Thank you for listening to the Irish Occupational Therapy podcast, hosted by myself, Jen Trechak.
And myself, Aideen Rutledge.
We look forward to sharing more insights and knowledge with you in future episodes. Until then, take care.